What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It is incredibly bright out here, as you can see. So let's go ahead, let's put on some brand new shades. I feel really weird, guys. I have used pretty much the same pair of sunglasses for like 4 years now. Those Strix with the black outer, whatever you call these, the one that every FPVer apparently wears. But I have ran out of Strix glasses here in Australia, so I had to default to these cheap ones from Australian Kmart, which ended up costing me a whopping $5. But aside from that, it is great to see all of you back here again on the channel. It felt like it has been so long since I've seen all of you, and that's because it has been. So for you all who don't know, the DRL season has finally ended. We finished up the last event about a week ago, and the end of the season was incredibly hectic. We basically ended up doing 5 full events in the span of 3 weeks. And so for the last month and a half to 2 months, it has been crazy for me. But now that DRL is over, I have a lot more free time. I am back to making videos, making all this fun content for you guys. And as you can tell by the drone eating gum trees all around me, I am also back in Australia for now. So today, if you couldn't tell from the title of the video, we are going to be talking about 6S and why you should swap right now. So for those of you who have been keeping up with the times, you may know for the last year or so, I have been flying these Xylo 1250 mAh 6S packs. And personally, I'm a huge proponent of 6S. I love the way 6S flies. All the modern stuff can totally take the 6S voltage right from the battery. And I just feel like the 6S packs are a lot more versatile, and you can do a lot more with one single battery than you can with the 4S stuff. Now, yes, they are a little bit heavier, usually clocking in at about 30 to 40 grams more than their 4S equivalents. But the little extra added punch you get from getting 25 volts right out of the gate is amazing and totally makes up for the slightly extra weight you get when using the 6S packs. Now, one of the biggest issues that people have when switching to 6S is that because you go up in voltage, you have to go down in kV. So your motors on 4S, spoiler alert, at least up until now, would not work on 6S because basically there would be too much voltage, they would try and spin too fast, and you would get lots of desyncs or incredibly hot motors because they just couldn't handle the extra voltage. They just wanted to spin way too fast. But now both Falco X and Betaflight have ways to limit the flight controller's output to the ESCs to make sure that the ESC actually never goes above a certain throttle percent. Now, in the past, people tried ghetto rigging this by putting a throttle cap in the radio, or sometimes even putting a throttle cap in the flight controller, but all that ended up doing was just limiting the actual throttle value input going into the flight controller, which is good until you start doing hard maneuvers or you're at high throttle trying to move around, because the flight controller could still actually send a full throttle signal to the ESC even though your throttle limit is, say, at 75-80%. And that has caused a lot of issues in the past when people try and use throttle caps with high kV 6S setups, because the flight controller will still command 95-100% throttle of the ESCs, but the ESCs physically cannot spin at that high of an RPM to get full voltage 25 volts to a 2700 kV motor on a 5-inch prop, but it just can't keep up with that much voltage and that much kV. And the older / current F0 processor based ESCs actually can't spin a motor faster than 6S 2100 kV at full throttle. So if you have more voltage than that, or you have more kV than that, your ESC physically cannot spin it faster than that, which leads to desyncs and really hot motors because the ESC is just sending random signals all over the place.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Trying to spin that as fast as it can. But with the new mixer limiter output in Falco X, and I believe there's a way to do it in Betaflight as well, I will go ahead and put a link to a video in the description below for you guys how to do it in Betaflight. But with the new Falco X throttle cap, all it does is actually limits the entire output range to the motors to whatever you tell it to. So if you put an 80% throttle cap, then the flight controller cannot demand any more than 80% throttle to the ESCs. And long before I made this video, just to make sure what I'm telling you guys is 100% accurate, you can literally run any 4S motor of nearly any kV on 6S batteries. And I have two separate rigs running 2700 kV on 6S, and my main Dolphin 1 freestyle rig is now running 2300 kV motors on 6S, and they have worked beautifully. I have not had a single hiccup. I don't even run with DMAG on anymore because it will never command over the throttle percent that you set in the OSD, so there will never be any issues with trying to spin the motors too fast and causing a desync. So this is Willy proved, 100% safe. You can run 2700 kV on 6S. And what that means for you guys, as you can tell from the title of the video, now is definitely the time to swap over to 6S batteries. And that is because in the past, if you wanted to go to 6S, you basically had to fully commit to buying all 6S batteries and all 6S motors, because you really couldn't cross-pollinate your 4S quads on 6S batteries because too much kV. So you have to swap all of your motors on all your rigs over to 6S, which can totally be a pain and also is a big hit to the wallet, especially if you have a lot of different quads all in a 4S fleet. But now you can start getting just 6S batteries, you can hold off on the motors, and you can basically kind of cross-pollinate running these 6S batteries on your 4S quads and start slowly moving over your fleet to 6S motors and start slowly phasing out those 4S batteries, because all you have to do when you put the 6S onto the 4S quad is set that throttle cap and you're ready to go. So speaking of said throttle cap, before I show you guys how to use it, the most important thing is knowing what the throttle cap needs to be. Now the math for figuring out your throttle cap is incredibly simple. All you need to know is the kV of the motors you're using and basically figure out what kV you want the flight controller to think it is, and that is it. So for example, with 6S batteries, you usually want around a 1700 to an 1800 kV motor. So let's say you have a 4S 2700 kV setup and you want the quad to think it's running 1800 kV motors. So all you have to do is do 1800 kV divided by 2700 kV. And if I plug that into my fancy schmancy little calculator here,
Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
you get 66.6666.
0.33. Repeating, of course.
Now usually I'll take a couple percent off of that because you actually get a little more RPM than what the calculations would say, and I always like to err on the safe side, especially when it comes to limiting with higher voltages. So I would personally put a 65% cap on that quad, and it will basically act just like it's running 1800 kV motors. Now another example, let's say you're running a 5S quad with 2300 kV motors, you would basically do the exact same thing. So you do 1800 divided by 2300.
Can you give me a number crunch real quick?
And if we plug that in our fancy little calculator, we end up getting a 78.26% cap, which I'll round to a 75% throttle cap. And the best part specifically about the Falco X throttle cap is it actually rearranges the entire throttle range. So if you have your drone tuned on 4S or 5S, whatever kV, and you want to bump up to 6S with that new throttle cap kV, you actually don't have to retune at all, because it basically will scale everything to whatever that throttle cap ends up being. So I have a freshly flashed rig that has not been set up at all yet. All I have done is run through the wizards before I came out here. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna hop in the OSD, I'm gonna give you guys a quick run through just to show you where that throttle cap is. So obviously the first thing we have to do is go into the menu, which means for Falco X, both sticks go down and to the left. Once you are in the menu system, you're gonna go ahead and tab on over to the left to the motor page. And once you see here, the third row down, you see max throttle is 100%. We do not want that. This is a 2300 kV quad running 6S. So like we determined earlier, let's go ahead, tip that down to 75%, just like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my setup here. So all I do when I flash is I go to preset, low power default, go to the Willy rates, smoothing type filter. Let's set that to 25. And that is it. That is all I do to set up my drones now. And it is seriously as easy as that. It takes 5 seconds to set your max throttle percent. And on top of that, especially for my rig, since all I use is the low power default tune, and my rates are preset, literally 3 clicks in the OSD, and my quad is set up and ready to go, which is amazing. That is the best part of Falco X. And in saying that, I think I have an idea for this month's challenge. Yes, I am gonna have another challenge this month. I have not forgot about it, but I have been thinking for a very long time on what to do for my next challenge. And I have a very, very good idea, so stay tuned. The next video will be this month's challenge.
always try to play the part, always do my best for you. When it's all said and done, oh, you would never show up. But now I just want something different, someone that gets what I'm giving, who will take me as I am. I'll give you everything I have, even when you give me nothing, 'cause I wanna believe that you and me are something. And if you go and spread your wings, in the end I hope it's worth it. If you wanna come back, there's no more second chances. I'm taking it back, boomerang. For somebody else to love me. 'Cause you had a chance to it all away. So now I want it back, give it all back, boomerang.
But yeah, that is all, guys. Thank you for stopping by. It has been quite some time since I've seen you guys, but I am back making videos again. If you like this video, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Leave a nasty comment down below if you're a true fan. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.